You're listening to Sports Sanity, your source for fresh news and all the latest headlines from the world of sports. And now, here's your host, George Pettis, featuring special guest, ESPN correspondent Robert Luke.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today is May 9th, 2017. And today, we just witnessed another sweep in the NBA playoffs last night. Brings the total to, what, 4 now, Rob?
I believe 4. I mean, definitely Cavaliers and Warriors, and I don't remember any of the other series. So.
Yeah, I think that was what stood out to me the most, is that nobody else can sweep, it seems like. Even though some of those first-round matchups I thought were a lot more lopsided, especially like Celtics-Bulls, that comes to mind. But alas, only the Warriors and Cavs have been able to sweep. And the Warriors do it pretty easily last night, winning by 26, it looks like. You catch any of this game, Rob?
To be honest, only like literally a few minutes. When given the choice between this and Top Chef reruns with my girlfriend, I chose Top Chef. This series was in the bag for me, and even though it's, I like the Warriors and I do like Utah, that there's just nothing to tune into. There's no reason to take 2 hours of precious time to watch what would be a loss. Like, it just wasn't a question in my mind. So I paid attention, and I'm not really surprised by the 5 or 6 point blowout, whatever it ended up being.
Yeah, I tuned in to this game, I'd say about midway through the second quarter, and the Warriors were already up 10, which wasn't that impressive, but Utah had just gone on a 14-0 run in order to be down by 10. So Utah trailed by as many as like 24, like very early on in this game. So it's almost as if Utah kind of gave up in this last one. It like, you don't want to say that, but like, what else can you say when you look at the effort given out there and the end result?
Yeah, I would agree. It's hard to break down because you just don't, with both the Cavaliers and the Warriors, you don't see any pushback, but you're not sure if it's just because people feel like there's no chance to win. I don't know what you'd be playing for. I mean, it used to be pride, the players would just play. Even in sweeps back in the day, you just see a lot more effort because you didn't want to get swept. And I feel like there's a little bit of that's lost too in the current NBA. You don't really get it as competitive or as into it. And it did just seem like both Toronto, and we talked a little bit like outside of a few players on Toronto against the Cavaliers, and now Utah, they just kind of maybe laid down. I didn't even see this. Maybe you saw this or talked about it already, but Kyle Lowry just said we can't beat, the Cavaliers right before Game 4, and he wasn't even playing in it. Like, that's something you have never seen back in the day or in any competitive sport usually. So that's pretty crazy to see. I don't know. Did you hear that?
No, I think most of the headlines surrounded what DeMar DeRozan had to say after Game 4 more so. I think that kind of got drowned out after DeMar DeRozan basically said we would have won if we had LeBron on our team. Yeah,
that's a bold claim. Like, I don't even know why you'd say that. I don't know. It's just crazy to hear this kind of stuff coming from professional athletes who, and I'm not just talking NBA, just any sport. You don't really see that or hear that often. Competitive people want to win and they get mad when they lose, and they usually say things.
I think to a certain extent, like, there's some spirits being broken in the NBA right now, like, because they're witnessing what is one of the most dominant stretches in the Eastern Conference pretty much ever. Like,
Yeah.
LeBron James on two different teams has gone to the finals, 6 straight years, and will probably make it 7 this year?
About to be 7. Yeah, and I do see that. For me, it was, I again, another, I think it just happened yesterday or maybe even this morning, but Kyle Lowry coming out and saying he's going to opt out. It just feels early, so quick after a loss. Maybe he's just trying to be a good teammate up front, but it just seems like any chance players on other East teams have, they're gonna jump ship. I think they're gonna go and they're gonna try to find any sort of other super team or forum team to have a chance. Because it was, the season's barely over for the Toronto, and he's already, I'm out. I'm gonna be a free agent. I just want to win a ring. Basically what the posts were, and I think that kind of, to me, it proves your point about, I think there's just some people that they're just beat. They're submitting, and they're not even going to sit in the room, with Toronto or do whatever, pretend like they might resign. They're just, nope, I'm out. I'm going to go find a different team. I don't know, the Celtics or whoever can maybe push LeBron in the next year or two.
I don't see that team existing. And I think as soon as you see the fall off of LeBron, you're going to see the rise of Kyrie Irving, and the Cavs could have something for quite some time going here. It just depends on how much money Dan Gilbert is willing to sink into this thing. But
yeah, well, as we know with LeBron, I think he's shown over the last 6 years or so, 5 years, he attracts, players. So he could even get a Kyle Lowry or maybe some younger stars to sign, and then maybe when he moves on or retires, they've still got, it's not just Kyrie. There might be a unknown name that's joined forces with him again. It's been bad. I know we talked yesterday, off the air, and I wanted to just rant. This has been so hard for me to watch this whole playoffs, and I know we're about to get to, in probably about a week and a half, we're going to get to what we've all been waiting for, but it's been hard. It's been hard to get there. There's just not a lot of good basketball going on outside of Cleveland and the Warriors, and it doesn't even feel like good basketball because they don't really need to do that much. They do too much. LeBron could probably average 28 and 7, and they would have won these series just as easily, or maybe lost one game or something.
Yeah. I think one thing we were talking about yesterday is the just sheer lack of consistency out of these teams. I understand there's in between games adjustments in the playoffs, but when you see any given team outside the Cavs and Warriors could easily lose one by 30 and then come back and win by 30 the next game, that's not in-between game adjustments accounting for a 60-point differential between at most you figure, okay, a team loses by 10, they come back, they win by 10 or something like that. Maybe a 20% difference, but this isn't coaches hitting the film room or drawing up new plays or anything like that. This is just sheer inconsistent play on the part of what are supposed to be professional athletes. They're supposed to be able to have the mental toughness, especially this time of year. The fact that this time of year you aren't dialed in, and specifically I'm talking about the other two series going on. All 4 teams involved. The Celtics, the Wizards, the Spurs, and the Rockets. All of them. The play those 4 teams have exhibited is nowhere near even coming close to winning a game against these other 2 squads.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, I'm trying to think, and I joke. I don't have the best memory. I can't remember many series in the second round let alone the first round where there was this big of a discrepancy both ways. I remember seeing some, there's blowouts obviously, but it's a one-time thing. One team just gets fatigued or they give up because it's just not their night, but the next night they're there. Or you see a team that's just completely overmatched and they do get, beat pretty solidly. I just can't remember many other, games or playoff rounds where, 30 to 30, and I don't get it. With Houston, it makes a little more sense because, we've talked about before, they shoot 50, 63 a game if they're so inclined, and you make 22, the other team hasn't even a little bit of an off night. There's a big loss. I mean, that's just how they play. But I don't get the Celtics and the Wizards at all. These are two teams that people were kind of excited about in the East. I don't think either of us were really that excited about their potential to even challenge LeBron, but a lot of people were, and you never know. I mean, a player like Isaiah Thomas who owns fourth quarters, you never know. Maybe they could have, but watching them in the playoffs, both of them, I don't see what people saw all year. And I keep hearing people tell me the Wizards, like the Wizards get there, they will win some games, they'll make it tough. I'm like, I don't see that. I don't know what they could even do, different. They'd have to show me a lot more in the next 2 wins against the Celtics. Like I don't see consistent defense. Definitely not consistent offense. It's a very strange thing, and I can't figure it out. Watching them, I've watched some of those games. It just looks like on any given night, one team decides they're good with the loss, and they don't put up the effort that you would imagine, like you said, or the mental toughness to stay focused when you get down by 12 and just say, all right, like we lost that 8-minute stretch, time to, let's lock it down, start playing better. Like I don't see that, and it's weird. It's like they don't, they're not competitive people anymore. Like they're not as competitive as 20 years ago. Is that what, I don't know, or other sports? I mean, football, people come back. I mean, yeah. It's a very odd playoff so far.
We actually saw a similar tale from the NFL playoffs, except for the fact those were all blowouts. If memory serves me correctly, I think the average margin of victory in the NFL playoffs was around 25 points or something like that. It was insane.
That's true. I didn't even think about that, but
like we all forget about it because the Super Bowl was so great and exciting, but the Super Bowl was trending before the historic comeback. It was trending like most of the NFL playoffs had. One team gets out to a huge lead in the first half and doesn't look back. And in the NBA's case, I mean, they're waiting around till like the third quarter, but like one team seems to be taking over the third quarter, early fourth, and there's really nothing much happening down the stretch. I just wanted to throw out these numbers real quick. In the Celtics-Wizards series, Celtics win by 12, win by 10, and then lose by 27 and 19. In the Spurs-Rockets series, the Spurs lose by 27, win by 25, win by 11, and then lose by 21. Is it so much to ask for in the second round of the playoffs for one game to be decided by single digits?
No. No, that's a competitive nature. Like I just don't agree. Don't level on all those teams.
I'm sorry. What was that, Rob?
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you. Do you see? Because I don't. But do you see that big of a talent discrepancy one way or the other? Like for any of those teams when you compare them to each other.
I mean, clearly there isn't if each team can blow each other out. Like.
Yeah. I don't know. You read those numbers to me, and they don't surprise me because we've been following them closely. But it does.
There's nothing a coach can do in this situation either.
No.
Like at the end of the day, this just comes down to these individual men like coming together and not allowing for this kind of nonsense.
Yeah, and I mean, something that I think has definitely changed it, or not changed. I don't want to, like, again, sound like an old school person talking about new school. I don't like those arguments much. They're boring. But something that's different is I think the superstars are different as far as the level of superstar in the NBA. In the NBA, at least. I can't speak to the NFL as much, just haven't really thought about it. But, I was thinking about it with the Jordan era, the Bird era. There was superstars everywhere, and they were legitimate Hall of Fame, competitive, don't back down superstars. A lot of them never won championships because of the Michael Jordan era, but they played ridiculously high levels of basketball to compete with these other great teams, the Bulls, the Pistons, push team. I remember watching the Pacers take the Bulls to Game 7 and almost winning Game 7 because Reggie Miller played some of the best basketball he's ever played in the playoffs at that point to win, 3 games. It was basically, his team played well, but he took over. He hit huge threes. And, DeMar DeRozan doesn't do that. Paul George doesn't do that. Kawhi did it during the regular season, but I haven't seen it much where you see his team starting to struggle and he needs to make 2-3 big plays, and he doesn't. He misses threes. I don't see many other players outside like LeBron. Maybe you can put Kevin Durant or somebody in there. It's hard to tell since he's playing for the most loaded team. But LeBron, when teams get close, even in the past when people have made fun of him against the Celtics when they had their big three, he made plays when things need to happen to compete with that team. And they won games. They beat him in a 7-game series at some point, but even when they were losing to the Celtics, they won games because LeBron took over when he needed to, and there's no other stars that do that. It's very odd to me that Kyle Lowry.
I think a lot of guys are attempting to do it and just can't.
Right, and that's why I'm saying it's not an old school, new school. There's just better. It's just the talent level maybe isn't as high, or the competitive nature. Because DeMar DeRozan's talented, but you could see it in that pivotal Game 3 where there was a shot for Toronto. In the fourth quarter, he just couldn't make a shot. And part of that is his teammates were helping him, but part of it is, winners, Kobe Bryant's, LeBron's, people get their shot when they want it and need it. And usually they make it, or a lot of times they make it. It was really frustrating as a basketball fan to watch that Toronto Cleveland series, especially Game 3, where I finally saw some pushback from Toronto and thought, okay, here we go. They are playing to win a game. They are playing with pride, and then they just fell apart. And it looked like nobody wanted to play the fourth quarter. It just went from a high level of basketball to one team giving up. It just looked like they thought they had no chance. And you didn't used to see, there used to be, I think, other talent in the league where they thought they could win, they wanted to win, and they made some of those plays to at least push the LeBrons and the best, the better teams in the series to 6 games, 7 games. And we're missing that this year, I feel like.
Well, that brings up the question of it's sort of the second tier of the star players. Are they as good as they once were? The DeMar DeRozans, the Paul Georges. How do they compare to, say, an original Isaiah Thomas or a Gary Payton or somebody of that nature? Who, someone who wasn't top 5, but easily top 10 back in their era.
Yeah, it's. I remember pretty vividly watching a lot of, and I was not a Michael Jordan fan in his prime. I don't like Drew. They beat they beat the Pistons. As a Michigan person, that did give me a bad taste in my mouth about Michael Jordan, and then I don't like Drew for usually the favorite. So I was always pulling for the Knicks, the Pacers, the Seattle Supersonics, and I remember thinking that the Bulls could lose. It was never like this where the second tier team or this not the top one or two team in the league. Like John Stockton would hit big shots, Karl Malone would hit big shots.
Yeah.
To win games. They wouldn't go down easy. They definitely didn't get blown out ever. You could argue they should have because the Bulls and Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc and they're probably more talented all around. But like they played to their strengths and they hit shots and they didn't really bad. It just does seem. I mean, it does seem like the second tier players in today's NBA just don't have maybe. I don't know if it's a skill set or just the mental fortitude, talent, because of the mental ability to stay strong and stay, I don't know, positive or whatever it is to stay in games or to push back when you get down by. Because the Celtics and Warriors are both going to always make runs on you. It just depends if you're able to, stay in the game and maybe get even, more angry, more competitive and play tougher defense or push back. I mean, definitely in the East, no one can. And the West, I thought the West would put on a lot better show, and it does not. It does not look good at all. So.
I think to wrap this whole thing up, I think what we have is a bunch of guys who are win more kind of players. They're not guys who you want to have on the court, like trying to make a comeback or what have you. They're guys, when you get out there, you have the energy, you establish the lead. They're guys who can help you sort of salt a lead away. And I think that's what we're seeing out of a lot of these players. Just a lot of guys are playing very disappointingly. Isaiah Thomas, back-to-back games under 20 for first time this season for him, postseason or otherwise. Kawhi Leonard had a pretty rough night the other night. And it's been pretty much hit or miss John Wall has come up and filled the stat sheet like he only knows how, but that doesn't always translate to wins. Neither does James Harden's stat sheet stuffing. But
yeah, it's been weird. Do you see? We're wrapping up on it. Do you see how many losses between the Warriors and Cleveland until they get to the finals? What do you think?
I'm gonna say 3.
Okay.
2 for the Warriors, 1 for the Cavs.
That would be I feel like that's like the Vegas. That'd be like the Vegas line, like 2.5 or something. Because that would be right around there. I wouldn't know if I'd go.
I'm not gonna be bold enough to predict another sweep by either of those teams because conference finals. I mean, regardless of how these teams are playing, like. They still are playing. The Cavs and Warriors are going to sit for probably about a week. And it's one of those things we'll see.
It'll be interesting.
What do you say?
Like I said, I feel like you just set that like Vegas line. That purposely is super hard to get around. I'd probably push with you 3. I mean, I would. I'm sure we'll talk about it once the other 2 series wrap up, and we can know a little bit more. I'd have to see a little bit more of the Celtics and the Wizards because that's the only series. I think the Spurs or Houston take a game or 2 minimum because of just what we've seen. They can explode offensively, and I think you hit 22 threes in the game, you're going to beat even the Warriors unless they hit 23. But I could see this. I could see Cleveland sweeping. I do not like what I've seen out of the East and LeBron. Everyone thinks a lot of people have been not a lot. I'd say like 50-50. People are either making fun of him for how easy this is or praising him. He deserves the praise. He's playing insane basketball. So if he wants to sweep the next game, I could see him doing it. If he's willing to play 40 minutes and put up the 36, 9, and 9 that he's been putting up, you probably won't beat him with that, like the level of talent that the Celtics or the Wizards have. So that's my only question is if they lose a game or not, because I think the Warriors will lose at least 1 or 2. So.
Okay. Moving on to some NHL. Big night last night. The Capitals, the league's best team in the regular season, they come back and they force a Game 7 against the Penguins. This series it looked like it was over once you got the 3-1, but back-to-back wins by the Caps force Game 7, and that'll be in D.C. With the exception of Ovechkin, all the big names were scoring for the Caps. You had Kuznetsov, Backstrom, TJ Oshie, the American hero he is, and they get out to a big 5-0 lead and then sort of coast towards the end. But Rob,
Yeah.
Two big names, Ovechkin, Crosby. You know, you've heard their names over the years. Coming to a Game 7. Does this get your attention as sort of a person that doesn't follow hockey too much?
Yeah, I am really excited. Honestly, I've been following this series. I haven't watched many games because of the 3-1 lead. Kind of looked like the Capitals were gonna, lay an egg, which happens to teams, in the playoffs, especially in the NHL. You see top teams go down. I mean, it happens. But I don't know a lot about hockey, but you have to praise the coach of the Capitals for making that move to put Ovechkin on the third line.
Rob did some research.
Yeah, well, I heard about it and thought, and I was ready to, if I was available to be on the show, to make fun of him for just making a drastic, desperate move and kind of almost giving up if you're doing that kind of stuff. But he knew exactly what button to push because they have played awesome. I haven't watched the last 2 games. I've read on them though, and
Ovechkin.
That was a stroke of genius.
Somehow in a 3-goal, the Caps win by 3 goals, and somehow he has a negative plus-minus. So it is not the greatest time to be Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, and
luckily the Caps have a ton of weapons. They're like the Rockets of the NHL.
I'm really excited. It's stalled a little by Ovechkin's kind of reduced role. That's where I was kind of going with that. But still, you put those 2 names out there, and he did in game 4. He had a really good game. He scored a goal, and that was a tighter game. So he still did well in that game. So you never know. Like a player like his with his talent in a Game 7, and they'll be at home. I mean, that's going to be fun. And if I'm hoping I'm not working or anything, I'd love to definitely put it on. At least in the background while I'm doing other stuff to follow it. You like that, though, right? I knew about Ovechkin to the third line. I was waiting to drop that. I was hoping you wouldn't say it, so I could be the first one to say it. I was proud of that.
Couple little smaller stories to get to. Apparently, Draymond Green, because he has to have an opinion on everything, has come out and said that Kelly Olynyk is a dirty player and he doesn't respect guys like that.
Yeah, that's just the best person possible making that statement for sure. I need to hear Draymond Green talk about dirty players. He's an expert at it.
It's not like he was suspended for a game in the finals.
Yeah. Like they're universally blamed for losing the finals because you couldn't keep your composure as LeBron ran over you. I don't why does he have a podcast? Just give him a podcast to anybody.
Look at us. Anybody could have a podcast. It's the new thing nowadays.
But to me, it's really weird for in your season. You know what? I'm all about it. Clearly, I'm on your show. It's something that we really enjoy doing and want to keep doing. But this is almost job part 2 for you. For realistically, because you put so much work into it, and but I feel like if you were a lawyer, in a really important case, you wouldn't be doing this on the side. This is weird. They're right in the middle of the playoffs. I mean, why is he doing this, and why does he have to talk about other stuff besides maybe just his team, how he's playing, his series? Why is he talking about the Cavaliers having less competition or whatever? What do you All you do is make LeBron mad, and you saw what happened last year when LeBron was mad. He destroyed
Well,
you.
ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it here first from Rob. As soon as I pass the bar, this show is done.
It was the first example I could think of, and I know you'd be a great lawyer.
Well, here's a follow-up from a story we talked about a little bit yesterday. Matt Harvey of the New York Mets. Apparently, the Mets got so concerned with him not showing up on Saturday, allegedly, that they sent security personnel to check up on him to, like, try to find out where he was.
Yeah.
Apparently, he missed a. He essentially didn't call off of work. He was a no-call, no-show, and that's not something you can do when you're a Major League Baseball pitcher. But somehow he's fighting it nonetheless. And here's the funniest part about this whole story. Apparently, he answered the door in pajamas when the security personnel arrived to like see what was going on with him.
So weird.
I don't understand this story at all. Apparently, he's calling New York a hostile environment, and this is becoming quite a mess.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I don't know a lot about it. I was curious about your take because I did read that story. I was skimming my news site. I have no idea what to make of it. Like I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I was curious when you brought it up. I was hoping you'd have a little more insight.
Have you heard anything about this Kentucky staffer?
No, what is that? I didn't even see that.
Apparently, a former Kentucky basketball staffer is being indicted for defrauding NBA players.
What?
For apparently nearly $1.3 million.
What? Yeah, I've not heard that at all.
Apparently, some of the players listed include Shelvin Mack, and then lesser-known players like Darius Miller and Josh Harrelson. But
wow,
yeah,
Josh Harrelson.
You know who that is? Because I definitely don't.
I do. Yeah, he's a big dumb white guy who played for him.
Oh, okay.
He might. I guess he was in the NBA probably for a year or two. I don't think he's in the NBA anymore. But
no, he's not.
I kind of recall like picking him up off the free agents list when I played 2K, and he was like a fourth string big dumb white guy on my team.
Well, don't know what's gonna come out of this story. I know a lot of people are looking for anything they can crucify Kentucky over. And apparently this is from sort of the Tubby Smith era of Kentucky. So I think a lot of people who have their pitchforks ready to go towards the house of John Calipari. I think those people can calm down. And
yeah, this does not seem like.
Yeah, it seems almost nothing related to the program itself.
Yeah,
other than the fact that he was scamming guys who went to that school.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like more of a person, with nobody else trying to make some money. But yeah, you're right. People are gonna come after Kentucky until it's completely proven that they're not involved. Like that's blood in the water to the Kentucky fans.
Apparently, Dwight Howard was caught speeding after the Hawks got eliminated from the playoffs.
It was before the game.
It was before?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
The story I read said it was like 18 hours before the game. He got caught doing like 95 in the 60 zone or something. And then they went and lost the series, Game 6 or whatever that was.
All right, not much else going on. Apparently, Tony Romo failed to qualify for the U.S. Open. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, shocking.
Could you imagine if, like, Tony Romo, like, went out and won a major in golf?
It'd be awesome.
Like, he's just a more successful golfer than he ever was quarterback. Like,
that would be hilarious to me. I've
always heard he's a great golfer. Like, anytime you hear about, like, non-golfers golfing, I always hear Tony Romo and Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, Jordan. I've heard Jordan's very good. But they probably play golf like as much as real golfers because they don't have to do anything else at this point in their life. Like, I support it though. A lot of people were like making fun of Romo, but you know what? You're rich and you'll go do what you want to do. Like, have fun. Like, did you see this thing about Shaq he's gonna run for sheriff? And
he's been talking about that for years, though.
I hope he does it. Like, I've always enjoyed that about Shaq, that he is pursuing other stuff. Because, like, why wouldn't you? You're a billionaire. You don't have to just be on TV and only talk about basketball. Go do stuff.
Shaq's just a fun guy in general.
Yeah. I'd want him as our sheriff in Ypsilanti or Ann Arbor area here. Like, sign me up. That'd be awesome. Sorry, I just saw that story and I loved it. And I would vote for him. So I make that known.
And in petty drama news, apparently Westbrook and Durant are back talking, but the 2008 Celtics are not. Pierce and Garnett say the ball is in Ray Allen's court.
Yeah, I saw those stories too, and I don't even know what to make of them. I didn't even know that Ray Allen and them didn't like each other. They won championship together. It seemed cool.
Oh yeah, as soon as you don't remember that, as soon as Ray Allen left and went to Miami, he was dead to them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I remember. I thought they split up at the same time. I don't remember him.
No, it was at least a year of just Pierce and Garnett in Boston before they got traded to Brooklyn in the worst trade of all time. Brooklyn's still giving up draft picks to the Celtics. Yeah, like that is insane.
They got. I mean, are you kidding? They picked up two 35-year-old superstars who are going to be great for at least a month after you sign. That was such a weird all around. We talked about it. That was the worst. That's
the worst trade of all time.
It was so bad. I don't know who or what they were thinking was going to happen with those super old players that were clearly in a decline. Like, clearly weren't playing near any level that they had in their championship years or anything. And they didn't even leave the East, so they're still just going to have to play LeBron and the Heat or whoever LeBron was playing for. So,
Rob, you remember Ryan Howard used to play for the Phillies?
Yeah, super. He won MVPs. He was really good, right? I mean,
yeah, he probably won at least one at some point. He was on all those Subway commercials and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently the game has passed him by, but he refuses to retire. So he's in AAA, batting 184.
Oh my God! I didn't know he. I thought he was just still. I mean, I didn't think he was dominant anymore, but I thought he was still on a roster. I know he's in AAA.
No, he's 37 now, and yeah, 2006 NL Most Valuable Player, 2005 NL Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, World Series MVP in 2009, and currently batting 184 in AAA.
That's really. I mean, I didn't know he was 37, so it makes a lot more sense. You know, what do they say? Father time is undefeated.
Yeah, and Father Time's taking a big dub in this one right now.
It's never easy to see a superstar who can't give it up, but he sounds like he really needs to give it up.
Yeah.
If Tim Tebow's outplaying him somewhere,
well, he just got cut, so you may not have a choice.
Yeah, so I'm sure he can Maybe he can go be a sheriff or something. I don't know.
Well, that's pretty much all I had to cover. You got anything you wanted to talk about, Rob?
No, we hit on everything.
Oh,
I snuck in my Sheriff Shack story. So
I did remember just one thing I have to mention. I saw the oddest thing last night as
what?
The Jazz were losing terribly to the Warriors. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to look this up at the same time. I'm like talking about it, so it's fluctuating me a bit. But you have to see this commercial that Gordon Hayward's in for Purple mattresses. And
Purple mattresses?
Yes, we'll watch it after the show. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. Just Google Gordon Hayward Purple, and it should be one of the first things to come up. But
I'm on my way right now.
This commercial is hilarious, and probably one of the strangest things I've ever seen. But
are we gonna say hilarious, like actually hilarious, or is it ridiculous so it's hilarious? Was it
a little of both?
Okay.
But that's gonna about wrap it up. I want to thank Rob for coming on today. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. And I'll see you tomorrow with more Direct Sports Daily. If the outro.
Direct Sports Daily. Thanks for listening. And if you love the show, follow us on Twitter at the DSD Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio, or visit our website, www.directsportsdaily.com.
You seen that video yet?
I'm about to. I don't know if we're off or if you stopped recording. I found it. It's a website that titled it "The Purple Mattress with Gordon Hayward and Joe Ingles is Peak Internet."
What's the bad for tonight? Sure, absolutely right.
Cool. There's still something we can do to help you. Yeah.
Before I cut this stream, just tell me what you think of it.
Yeah.
Go with that mystical purple glowing room. Well, that's the kid. The other one.
What is? Dude, this is crazy.
Allow body to restore health to organs, bones, and tissue. Punish immune cells and circulate.
Yeah, it tells you all the benefits of like having a good night's rest and all that. Like,
Yeah.
in the middle of all the nonsense.
So,
Oh wait, the other guy in the commercial is Joe Ingles?
Yep.
I had no idea. I thought he was just some random Australian guy.
Nope. That is.
See, now that gives the commercial even more context.
He's Australian?
Joe Ingles?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Nope.
He played for the Australian national team in the Olympics.
Dude, that was weird. What was that?
I don't know. Like, I saw it last night, and I was just... It was, like, right before I was going to sleep, and I was just like, what did I just witness?
Yeah. Why? Why? Well, why would you ever want Gordon Hayward and Ingles to be your spokespeople? That was weird. I mean, I fully support Gordon Hayward, so whatever gets him more airtime, I guess. So.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.